Top Deck Heroes. We have bonus hosts tonight. So we got me, your regular schmegular Sean O'Brien from Rochester CCG, the reigning Team Canadian National Champion. To what? To my left here, I have Kevin Broberg, reigning Canadian National Champion, reigning Team Canadian National Champion, reigning World Legacy Champion, reigning World Extended Champion.
I think I'm the Universal Extended Champion at this point.
Reigning Player of the Year, and we have Jesse. He won some PTCs.
I won a PTC. That's it, sir. And my deck got banned the next day.
Jesse won a PTC. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a lot to go over. And let's start with, I think, the big story of the weekend. That was the San Antonio PTC. Controversy aside, congratulations to Ryan Pham for winning the event with Void Athena. So congratulations. Miles Tyler came in second place playing Void Base.
Base.
See, it was just a slip there. I almost said Terry off of all. And there's some other people in the top four. I don't remember who it was. I think Stephen Jones was in there playing something.
And Willie, who is now the reigning
Team World Champion, playing Swiss Champs with Death Dr. Wily, went undefeated in Swiss rounds and dropped in top four to the eventual winner.
So congratulations to those guys. If you guys get a chance to check it out, head on over to the forums or UFS, the Universal Fighting Systems Facebook page, and check out those deck lists. There is some spice in there, not even necessarily in the top four.
Oh, absolutely. All the top 8 deck lists were pretty great. I think we see some interesting takes on some old characters. There's the Yamato Man in 8th place playing very different than any Yamato Man I've ever seen.
Well, he can't wheel anymore. He can still steal, but he can't wheel.
He was playing Crit Splits. I mean,
yeah, baby.
Hotness.
Yeah, baby. Because when your 6 high for 9 multiple 2s aren't big enough, you make them a 9 high for 10, right? That's the right answer.
10 feet taller, that's what they say. So they believe they had, 27 people show up for this PTC?
Yep. This is our first event with Street Fighter Legal, and we had 27 players. Perfectly respectable showing. We had a lot of Street Fighter characters in the field. But
not a lot of Street Fighter cards on the stream on Saturday, that's for sure.
That is true. It's actually, speaking of the stream, just quick shout out. You can also watch the archived stream coverage on the Play UFS page. I think on there is just to watch the raw tournament footage, as well as on this very channel. 2 of your hosts here.
It was on.
It was on Nubian Gods. Yeah,
Nubian Gods. Yeah.
It was Nubian_God. And on this very channel, you can watch 2 of the top 8 matches with live commentary from your Top Deck Heroes, myself and Sean O'Brien.
Yep.
But with the great event came great controversy. So we're going to call that and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to call this the San Antonio situation. Ba-da! So we're in the situation room here now with my panelists, Jesse and Kevin Broberg. So let's talk about some penalties. There were some penalties that at first we didn't believe were assessed correctly. That was based on the news we had on Saturday, but there are some updates here. Let's start with Kevin Broberg. Tell us about the penalty towards the beginning of the tournament.
All right, so I believe somewhere about in round 2, a player was identified to have registered a deck list containing Kapoken Training in the sideboard, which, for a reason, we're not going to get into the why was it in your sideboard, dude, what a scrub. Kapoken Training is an excellent card. You should main deck it. Really, the salient point there is that Kapoken Training is not legal in Standard anymore. It rotated out with King of Fighters Block 1 upon the entrance of Street Fighter into the format, 10 sets in Standard at one time. The player... you want me to get into the kind of what we now know happened, or what happened at the time?
Let's go with what we now know.
All right, so we now know that the player was assessed a disqualification penalty by head judge Shane Duckworth, who was there, and then the tournament organizer took it upon himself to re-enter him into the tournament without a sideboard to finish playing the rest of his rounds.
Which, it's interesting, as far as the penalty that was assessed versus, what could have been done otherwise. So normally the rules are pretty explicit. If you have a deck list error, if you don't file your deck list correctly, you get disqualified.
Yeah, what was really interesting about this was that we heard the news of it, and there was a lot of discussion about, well, what's going on here? Is this the right thing that happens? And there was kind of almost a meme going around that, well, this person registered their deck list correctly. They're playing the cards they said they're playing. It's those cards happen not to be illegal. So then the remedy here ought to be different than what would happen if your deck list were completely illegal. And that now we know that's not the case. It's if your deck isn't legal for whatever reason, it's the wrong number of cards, it's not what it matches, you get disqualified. That's the rule.
Right. Now, what is kind of a shame is if this error had been found during round 1, what could have happened, because there's no rule against this, is he could have been disqualified at the beginning of round 1 and could be re-registered and be treated as if they were late arriving to the tournament and only start the day with a match loss. Because there is nothing in the rules that explicitly say if you're disqualified, you cannot re-register. The rules only say that you cannot register for the tournament after round 1.
Yep.
But that's getting into some rules lawyering territory there, I think.
Yeah.
We did get a statement from Jasco Games on their Facebook page today. Let me bring that up for everybody.
I think it was just a post in UFS Rockford reply to one of the comment threads there.
So Jason Haransky commented and said that the deck was illegal. Shane told him he was done with the tournament, but the TO and the player went behind his back, and Shane was unaware he was not dropped from the tournament as he requested. We'll be looking into this issue because the event had 2 issues like this and should not have happened. So, a lot of things coming together here regarding... Well, let's not even talk about whether or not it's right or wrong to disqualify a player. I think the 3 of us have made that our opinions on that abundantly clear.
Yeah, on this show, I hope we'd be preaching to the choir.
I'll think that the biggest thing this now shows is if you want a TO event, you got to know what's going on. The next big thing that we obviously with the evolution of our game, especially with the introduction of new players and the increase of our player base, we really need TOs to know what's happening. Like they need to either if you're going to run a PTC, you got to pass at least a UFS proficiency exam, and it's all it is do you understand the how to run a UFS tournament, and it's very simple. It more or less you should have this sheet for a first time TO advisements of we have rules that vary from different card games, and these are the rules that we enforce, and the major ones being deck list. If a deck list is not matched completely or it is erred in any way, it is a disqualification. There's no way around it, and it has to be understood.
See, unfortunately, I'm not convinced that this was even a TO incompetence problem. Based on Jason's statement, or Jason's reply, let's bring that up here again. He said that Shane told him that he was done with the tournament, but the TO and the player went behind his back, and Shane was unaware he was not dropped from the tournament as he requested. Based on that wording, it seems pretty heavily implied that
the TO colluded with the player to let him continue to play.
Right.
I mean, colluded probably is not a good choice of word, but it sounds like it's the best way to describe it.
No, it seems like, I don't know if the tournament organizer was biased or bribed or what the case may be, but based on this comment, and we don't know if these things are true, the TO went against what the head judge says, which is it's not good. My understanding is I actually had a chance to speak with Jason Monday night regarding PTC structure. One of the things he said is they plan to have Shane at all PTCs domestically this year to act as the head judge, which I think is great, having a Jasco Games employee there, with his finger on the pulse, making sure things are going okay. But if we've got TOs going against what the judge is saying, that's a big time problem.
Yep.
Now, look, in reviewing the tournament floor rule document, as far as who's the boss when it comes to events, the tournament floor rules, as I interpret them, basically makes like the tournament organizer the boss in the room. But when it comes to assessing penalties, that privilege goes explicitly to the head judge. So I don't know, perhaps this tournament organizer felt that he could overrule the judge, or he wasn't thinking. Nobody really knows. But
Yeah.
the assessment penalties, like I said, that purview is reserved for the head judge. Like the TO, as far as being the boss, is responsible for making sure things actually start on time. They have to step in if there is a venue issue or problem with software or stuff like that. But when it comes to the rules and assessment penalties, that does fall under the purview of a judge. In addition, gentlemen, there was some more controversy this weekend regarding the pairings of the elimination rounds.
Yep.
So for those of you unaware, in UFS, you actually repair during every round of elimination, kind of like the National Football League here in America, or as British people call it, because I know British people watch this show, the National Handball League, because I know you guys have called soccer football for some reason. And so every round, we reseed the pairings based on, the highest ranked remaining player versus the lowest rank, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
So that didn't happen. And this one I would actually just chalk up to negligence completely on the tournament organizers area. And part of what adds the confusion of this is the UFS pairing software is capable of cutting the top cuts, but it cuts it into a bracket. Single limb bracket, not into our weird reseeding thing that we do every round.
Yeah, so that's just what the software always does, and the TO has to ignore what the software says for top four. That's amazing.
It's always been like that. I mean, since that became the system. That was.
Sounds like we should reconsider using that software to me, but hey.
I mean, that software has been nothing but problems from day one.
Yeah.
So that's that. I definitely I think I chalked that up to negligence, simply not knowing the rules, not paying attention. It gets into an awkward area because by the time the head judge was aware the error was made, and pairings do fall under the purview of the tournament organizer. Shane had found out too late, and the matches were starting. I don't think it's appropriate to stop the matches and start again. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I was trying to get a hold of somebody when they sat down, when Miles and Stefan sat down at the table. I'm like, that's not right. And I was trying to get a hold. The problem is I only had a number. I didn't have a number of anybody who was at that tournament. And I'm like, sent 3 Facebook messages. I'm like, hey, I was like, I'm not friends with Ryan Fam on Facebook. Damn it. Try to message Miles. No response. No. I think I tried to message Miles. I tried to message Shane. I'm like, well, they're starting. Let's go. I can't do anything now.
Yeah, it was a particularly awkward situation. One area I would have for improvement for Jasco Games and running their tournaments, especially when you get into elimination, top 8, top 16, top 32, because we know they're going to do that. I think it might be the responsibility of the head judge to be there and switch from passive judging to active judging, to be watching the games, watching for illegal game states, so on and so forth.
Honestly, to me, it seems to me the best change they could make, the least effort for the most impact, is to just change their tournament policy. Just take the brackets that we get from the tournament pairing software and just have that make more have that be consistent. Not have to change the tournament software because we know we can't do that, and just run with it that way.
Yeah, I just think it'd be awful to have to be first seed and play against the second seed in the second round of elimination. I mean, the reason why...
Oh, does it go that way instead of 3-4?
Yeah. So it would pair like the first person would be first place, then last place, playing in the first bracket, and then below it is second place and second to last place, and then once those two lower seeds are eliminated, first and second play each other. So I don't know. It'd be nice to have software that did it, but I think, and I don't blame JASCO Games for this, I don't think getting new tournament software out should be their priority right now. I think if they have to choose things to do correctly at this time, I would definitely go with printing cards and getting them out on time. I think that's the biggest of the biggest.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with chat. This is also just generally not that big of a problem. And honestly, even putting a guy back into the tournament, like that guy probably wasn't a threat to top 8 or anything.
I don't know. I think a lot of stuff happened, and I don't like the brackets that we would get, even if it brackets it up like the way Piglet said, where 1 and 2 are on the opposite sides. Things would get screwy where you could potentially having first place playing against a higher seed person, which the champion's advantage or the Swiss champ advantage is always to play the lowest seed all the way through elimination. That's your reward.
Yeah, that's how it works now. And in the like as the alternative is that if the Swiss champ wins, then he plays either the 4th or the 5th seed. And then the other side is either 2 and 3 play, or whatever the opposite of that is, like 6 and 7, or like 2 6 and 3 7 kind of stuff. If there's an upset.
So that kind of was another thing that happened as far as some controversy this weekend. So we had the deck list controversy, we had the seeding controversy, and while I'm inclined to believe the chat, to agree with the chat that it probably didn't have a huge impact on the event, I would be pretty upset if in the second round I had to play against my worst matchup, and under our current rules I wouldn't normally have to. I would raise a huge stink, which comes to my next question for you guys, is if you were at a tournament, and I think the three of us are pretty experienced tournament players. We have PTC winner, 2 former champions, current champions because we're from Canada. Do you have a responsibility as someone in the tournament to make the TO aware that the pairings are incorrect? What do you guys think?
I think, I definitely believe in if you see something, say something. So if you're paying attention to this stuff already and you notice your expectations are violated. If you're surprised by like something mundane, like are the something deterministic, like, oh man, why are we getting paired this round? Like, oh man, isn't my record better than don't I have a better record than you? Did I get paired down by 2 matches? What's going on? Like that kind of stuff. You should speak up and say that. And you should speak up if you paid attention to what the brackets are. But I don't think that you have a duty to pay attention to that if you weren't already.
Jesse, your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much. It's if you know something's wrong, you should be saying something. That's always my standard. I would even if I knew I was getting an advantage out of it, I'm still gonna say something. It's not fair to the other players in the tournament when I realize that that a judge error is now that a pairings error is now in my advantage. It's not worth the hassle, because obviously we're streaming our coverage more, and it's just like all you need to do is say one time after the tournament, I was like, oh yeah, I knew what was going on, and I just ignored it, and then you're just like you get a label to you for the rest of your life as a player. You're like, oh yeah, that's Jesse scumbagged his way through his first tournament win. I'm like, I wouldn't want to have that issue.
Right. Speaking of streaming, with more events being streamed in UFS, do you think that there should be an extra emphasis on active judging during streams to make sure that no illegal plays occur on stream to kind of maintain the integrity of UFS? Jesse, I see you kind of cringing at that question. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that was the easy answer.
Yes. I watched all the footage from San Antonio this week. Trust me, I saw misplays. I saw plays that affected the outcomes of a game. That was because somebody could play a card completely wrong. I watched it. I'm like, okay, that's nobody's there to say anything about it. No players are realizing it. No one's actively monitoring the Twitch chat. Like, it's obvious, and I'm like, there's nothing you can do about it. But I'm like, that's
so. If you had the resources, would you just put a judge there watching Twitch chat who can interrupt the game if Twitch chat says,
no?
Hey,
I
here's a blatant
think
mistake?
the judge should be active. Just there should be an active judge on that. If you have a table that is willing to be streamed, I almost think that should be like where the judge is stationed. My opinion, like that should be a spot. Like the judge is doing his thing, and you just have like that there. He's like, it's like right near the TO or the judge station spot. Like that's where it should be, and he could just be. He's there, and he can visibly like look and see what's going on. Like, I understand if there's a situation where, like, it's being run by the community, there's no active judge for the stream. That's how it has to be. But if we have the ability to, why not?
Yeah, I think that it's a good idea to have a judge available because when people watch the tape later, and we know there are lots of people in the UFS community who watch the tape, they either watch it live or they go back and, rewatch what happened. They watch, there's a second stream through commentary, watch it. So the stream is under a lot of scrutiny. And so I think it's really important for the integrity of UFS that the content we're putting out there, it has the highest integrity and has the best playing as possible. You know what I mean, guys? Kevin, remember, you've been pretty quiet on this topic.
Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that it's important because I started reading chat. I'm not sure I got all of it. So you're saying that it's important to have kind of the content that's put out there on the stream be as like consistent, as durable, sort of as like free of mistakes as possible, free of as like blatantly incorrect situations.
Right. In that if there is an incorrect situation, it should be rectified as quickly as possible to maintain the integrity of the game state, and the tournament, seeing as the whole world could potentially be watching or watch it.
So the interesting thing is that, from my perspective, the first place my mind went to was it should be fair to both players who are on stream or not on stream. That's the thing I'm worried about, is having, we're talking about the integrity of the tournament. I think it's important to me that the tournament integrity, that the fairness to everyone who's there, that everyone plays the same game. And I think it's unfair. It damages the integrity if one match has a dedicated judge watching it. If one match, if I make, if my opponent makes some grievous mistake and I don't catch it, then they can get away with something as long as they're off stream, or vice versa. Like if my opponent would have gotten away with something, but because I'm on stream and I've got all this special attention paid, then suddenly I'm going to be protected from that. It should be equal. Like, we should have judges going around and saying, "Hey guys, is everything all copacetic here? Is anything weird going on over this table? Are we having any problems here?" But it should be the same coverage across the whole room.
Right. I think you raised an excellent point there, Kevin. I don't think that the game should be played any differently. And I've changed my mind. I agree with you.
Yeah, I remember this. Like, I'm a huge Magic coverage nerd, and I remember this kind of situation came up a couple of years ago at a pro tour, and there's a big lively debate over it, and it just reminded me of that big lively debate.
Yep.
Now, that being said, we had discussed before, and it is in the tournament floor rules, that spectators have a responsibility to alert a judge if there's an illegal game state. So do you think that changes the fairness of the match if the entire world is watching it and is able to alert a judge if they see an error? Or is that any different from 6 people gathering around the last match of the round doing the same thing?
That's something where we need to have that defined in our rules. Is, do we consider the peanut gallery of the internet
a spectator?
A spectator, or are they a viewer? Because actually, I believe my understanding is Magic actually has now something in their rules about, like, a spectator is a person who is physically at the location, a viewer is someone who's watching separately, and the viewer's opinion cannot be brought into play, but it can be viewed as an after effect of a situation, i.e., identifying cheating or something to that extent. I haven't, obviously that's something that's changed in the judge world of Magic in the recent years, and I have, so I'm out of the loop on that rule at this point.
I'm sure that's a space of ongoing kind of policy revisions and iterations and stuff.
Well, it's definitely something that's evolving. I mean, if you look back 10 years ago, Twitch didn't really exist 10 years ago. It may not have even existed at all. I don't remember when Twitch started, but it is now so easy to put the content
available
to people. And I think, the tournament, the rules committee for the tournament floor rules should make a decision at their next meeting as to whether or not a spectator on the internet has the same responsibilities as a spectator at the event.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a huge thing that definitely warrants some further discussion. Are we ready to move on to a little bit of a different topic, gentlemen?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Garrett Brett throwing shade at the PTC results, kind of the after effects of the event. Garrett Brett was not very nice.
If you guys, go check out the PTC thread and, take a look for yourself. Do some critical thinking on what's actually being said in here. I think really his point was just that, it's a PTC and you see crazy stuff at PTCs all the time, but you can take it as charitably as uncharitably as you wish. I think if you want to take it uncharitably, you can take it pretty uncharitably.
I think overall, for the most part, I mean, Garrett does have kind of a mean streak when it comes to throwing shade, but I have to imagine he was sitting in his little accounting cubicle having himself a good laugh saying those things, like, ha ha ha. I should say I'm sorry, but I'm not going to. Ha ha ha, I'm Canadian. So we just wanted to bring that out. They're kind of lighten things up again.
I want to lighten things up. How about our PTC champion, Ryan Pham, calling out all the haters who are telling him to build his own decks?
I mean, Ryan Pham is an unrepentant net decker. And, guys, there is nothing wrong with that. You play the deck that you think is going to give you the best chance of winning. So if it means copying Jeremy Ray's mature deck list for a PTC 2 weeks later...
I changed 4 cards. That's it, people. People are like, "Oh, you played it, but you actually won an event with it." No, I changed 4 cards, and those probably need to be changed.
Nothing wrong with it. I think our community throws a lot of shade at people who net deck, but ain't nothing wrong with it. Net decking actually is really good for the secondary market. It's good for Jasco Games sales, moving product, because if people see a deck they like, then it does well. People want to buy those cards. People want to buy cannonades. People want to buy, prepared to fights. People are going to want to buy rain flushes after this weekend. Dark lasers. Silent assassins.
Silent assassin's a really big one. That card, both the top decks were playing Silent Assassin. All, top first place and second place, and
it's got
varying quantities.
It's got a very short shelf life. I mean, why not?
It's going to be rotating. It's very reasonably priced right now too. I mean, It was much more expensive here a couple years ago. So, let's take the conversation in another turn now. This is something I got my knickers in a bunch over the weekend. I saw the words player entitlement in the chat and on the Facebook, and I've heard some people mention that's come up pretty frequently about certain people at certain places that may rhyme with Masco Games, talking about player entitlement. And, gentlemen, I'm going to jump ahead of you guys here, and I'm going to get on my soapbox and say something to all the players out there.
Go right ahead,
all right.
Sir.
Okay, UFS players. When you buy Jasco Games product, you make your purchase, you walk out the door, you open your product. Jasco Games doesn't owe you a damn thing, technically. And so, they want to talk. The thing they talk about is player entitlement. Now, I've worked in retail. I think everyone except for Kevin has had a stint in retail, And the first rule of retail after the customer's always right is the first one. And the second one is customers are entitled pieces of shit.
As a direct consequence of rule
The
number one, I imagine.
the whole lot of us. We're all entitled pieces of shit. And part of that entitlement and satisfying that entitlement is what makes people go back every single week. I was talking about this with Kevin Broberg over the weekend. Here in Rochester, we have the greatest grocery store in the nation, and that's Wegmans Food Markets. And when I go to Wegmans Food Markets, all they owe me is a place to purchase my milk and my bread and my eggs. I make my purchase and I go home. But there are reasons I go shop there. There are reasons I go shop there, and particularly every Saturday. Because you know what you can do every Saturday at Wegmans? You can have lunch there for free because you walk in and they're like, we're celebrating summer today. Have a piece of cake, you fat guy. I'm like, yes, cake. And then I go around the corner and the prepared food is like, try this new sushi. Try these new roasted vegetables. Try this seasoned salmon. Here, try the cheddar bacon cheeseburgers. Try the lasagna. And you go through the store and you eat all these things and you're like, man, this is great. I didn't have to buy lunch today. And then I get to the front of the store and it could be like Walmart where, the lines go back into the aisles to get a cashier. But because I'm an entitled piece of shit, when I go to Wegmans, I expect to walk into a line and start unloading my cart. And the store knows that, and they have lots of cashiers waiting with open arms to check us out. And I think that's your guys' experience as well, right? And so
We're nodding, yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind, part of the reason why people want to go to UFS tournaments, they want to go play in events, is just like why we go shop at Wegmans on Saturday specifically, so we get free food. Right? And so part of the experience of playing UFS is you go to the tournament, you get free stuff, you get to see people, you have a good time. And I know I'm entitled. I know if I go to Wegmans and there's a long line, I'm going to complain and be like, I can't believe there was a long line today at Wegmans. How could this happen?
How could this happen to me? Yeah.
I expected more from Wegmans. And it's like...
And that's entitlement.
That's entitlement. And so for Jasco Games to say players are entitled is completely correct. But you can't have an attitude of they're entitled and that's their fault and we don't owe them anything. Which I don't think Jasco Games does, but I feel like it's easy to get on that track.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about player entitlement, gentlemen? I'm off my soapbox now.
What do you think, Jesse? Is Jesse's audio working for you?
I believe Jesse's audio has just died.
I'm sorry.
He's back.
No, I turned my thing off because I didn't want to interrupt Sean by inhale it. Player entitlement to me is a thing that has been in the Jasco era of UFS, and it's something, especially the players who I think stuck it out the most, feel that they have it because they've been here. They rode through the bad years. They rode through the good. They're here for the next big run, which we are ramping up heavily into. And there's some players who just feel they have an entitlement. Like I will say this: I saw it at Worlds, especially when players were like, "How did such and such make top 16 and I did it?" And I'm like, well, they took their legacy of being a former champion into play. And this, I'm like, new players are going to come along. Players are going to bring this forward. And just because you were good at one point in time doesn't mean you're going to be great anymore. You have to sometimes accept that, people.
I wasn't.
Did I go to a tangent of entitlement? Or
no. I think that's
okay.
That's
okay.
pretty reasonable.
I wasn't sure. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's a thing. But you know what? You have two decisions. You can keep playing the game, keep supporting it, and once in a while you'll have your good weeks, your good weekends, and you will do well. And good for you. Like I don't expect with the game growing back in again, the chances of me getting a champ card are just out the window at this point. But you know what? I'm still going to play the game. I still want to be a part of the community. And there's going to be some players that are not going to do that because they realize they can't travel to an event and win and come in top 8 guaranteed every weekend.
Not unless you're Tim Keefe. But yeah, I think that
for my part, because I wasn't party to any people who were complaining, oh man, how did X top 8 over me? And that's just really funny to me.
I heard that exact
the doctor's orders get good.
I mean, you look at the tape and you look at the results, and you can find out pretty quickly why they made top cuts over you, because they had a better score. Yeah, I mean, as customers, we definitely have a sense of entitlement, and I think what I like to call the old guard, which is kind of the group we're in. You know, we stuck it out with Jason since 2010. You know, he bought the game was dead, and we've stuck around. We've endured, you know, no set releases. We've endured no prize support. We've endured a board game taking precedence over the game that we love. We've endured a lot of things that haven't been positive.
Yeah.
Though a lot of people in the old guard have also benefited from a lot of good things that have happened. You know, for a lot of years the game was small, and you could reasonably go to an event and have a really good shot at making top cuts, because, you know, at one point our world championship was less than 50 people. And your chances of winning a champ card walking in the door are much better when there's 50 people than when there's 127.
Yep.
And I think a lot of those same people who expect to get in top cuts every time because they've always gotten in top cuts are the same people who get salty if they don't feel the prize support is sufficient, or they feel that there's all these things going wrong. And instead of, you know, calling Jason up, calling the number on the back of the pack saying, hey, Jason, I have some concerns, and they take to the Facebook and just start bitching, I think that's where it crosses the line from being, you know, a reasonable person with expectations to being entitled, because now you think you're entitled to talk trash about the game and about all the things you've gotten from it.
Yeah. And I will admit, I definitely, on another show that no longer exists in the UFS standpoint, trashed the game of UFS. Because I was salty and I had a bad taste in my mouth. But you know what? I grew the fuck up. I really did, and I understand more from a business standpoint what's going on, and more from what the big picture is right now. And you gotta accept that things are gonna change. This game has to grow. If it doesn't grow, it's not going to exist. It'll become to that point. We want new players. I want players to come in. You got to accept it. Like, sometimes players are going to get better than you. Like, people from other games are going to dump from their games that they are in the middle ground at, and when they come to our game, they're going to be up here. And it's like there's definitely a tier level that they will come in at, because they just have that ineptitude of how to play a card game. And
yeah, and I mean, UFS is insanely hard. If you slack off, you don't deserve to keep your spot if you're slacking off. If you're not, you know, leveling up in the ways you need to level up to compete anymore.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's that type of thing, and it's not a shot to any play group. It's not that like it's just what it is. And like, there's guys that that have kept this game going in areas that it should have rolled over and died. Like John O'Brien, I praise you, sir. For, like, you showed me, I was out the next day when this game died. The first time I was out the door and gone, and you kept going, and I give you so much respect for that. And then I came back afterwards.
I thank you for that.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's my own little soapbox there of just kind of going off.
You know, I back to, because they're asking in the chat, you know, what is the line between entitlement and reasonably expecting better? I think it's how you handle it. I mean, I think here on Top Deck Heroes, we have said our fair share of not positive things about, you know, the way the game is being ran, or whatever the issue of the day we have is. I mean, we're customers, and customers love to complain. It is our favorite thing to do, right? But I've never came on the show here and said that Shane or Jason or the company are pieces of shit. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't, because that sure doesn't make them want to listen to what I have to say and try to make their game better. Because they're going to be like, well, Sean O'Brien's an asshole, and why should we listen to him? And I think that is where that line is. And I think we can have meaningful discussion about how to make UFS better and, call out the things that don't go right. Because Lord knows there are things that don't go right. I mean, at Worlds this year, one of my big gripes this year was that there was so much time between matches waiting for pairings. But, I didn't get on the Facebook and be like, herp or derp, play a real card game, don't play UFS. Like, somebody coming on and telling people not to play UFS is the worst thing.
Yeah, that's really unacceptable. Can't be doing that. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, I saw those, and I was like, really? We're down to that, guys. If you don't... Like,
And I think behind closed doors, when you're cruising in your car back to wherever you are and you're salty and you're mad and you want to complain that the format is garbage and Shane and Jason don't know what they're doing, fine, do that in the car, do that at the bar.
When you put it up on social media and you make you try to ignite a conversation at that level, and you even worse is when somebody tries to defend the game and you give them shit about it. That's not what we want. You can go play Yu-Gi-Oh! For all I give a fuck.
And if you do have concerns, and there's the things you want to make better, and there's a lot that I think we talk about this week in and week out on Top Deck Heroes, ways to make UFS better. You could do it in a positive way. You can do it without calling people's names. You can call the number on the back of the pack. That's let's see, we got it here. It's not on this pack. It's not on the pack. What the heck, Jason?
On the newest ones?
Oh, here it is, just in a different spot. You can call 806-252-3404, like I did on Monday, to discuss my concerns with Jasco Games. And sure enough, the president of the company answered the phone and talked to me for about half an hour about my concerns. If you don't have half an hour to talk to Jason, because he is a talker, if he gets you on the phone, he will talk your ear off. You can send him an email. His email address is really easy. It's jason@jascogames.com. Maybe you're not comfortable talking to Jason. Send a message to Shane. His email address is really easy. Shane@jascogames.com. So, I think there's a way to get meaningful feedback back to the game company. And you just, like Piglet said here in the chat, very open door policy. They may take some time to get back to you because they are incredibly busy. It's like 4 guys trying to run a game company. But much better way to do it. Don't forget JT. I don't remember JT's email. It's probably jt@jascogames.com. Their email addresses are really easy. Thank you, Piglet. So, I think what to be said about entitlement is, yes, we want to make the game better, but find a productive way to do it. Do you gentlemen have any other thoughts about entitlement?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm done for. I'm off my soapbox now, and I don't.
All right. Being grumpy is over. The next topic on our agenda tonight was talking about being salty on social media. I think we scooped that up.
Yeah, we did that.
Right there in that topic. Cruising right along here. Rules lawyering. This came up a little bit earlier when we were discussing the event at San Antonio, where people on the Twitch chat were trying to make a case that the player should not have been disqualified because his deck list was correct. However, it was illegal.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even really want to talk about this right now because we have 15 minutes left on the show. We still got a pretty packed schedule to take up with you tonight, Sean O'Brien.
All right, let's consider that for next week. Let's talk about instead something less grumpy then. Let's talk about the MCS series. So Money in the Bank is coming up for the Midwest Circuit series on January Wow. July 22nd at Top Cut Comics in Rockford, New York. Now, this event is pretty interesting.
You mean Illinois?
Illinois. My God. I'm sorry. I must have had too much to drink or I'm high. So, as we all know, the MCS is the Midwest Circuit where we formerly called that the We Hate King of Fighters format. And they play only new cards for a more casual, new player-friendly environment. Now, at the end of the last series, Mark Slam Wisniewski got the title belt for winning the six-man fatal six-way draft match for the belt. And so he's had the belt now for a few months. However, they've announced a Money in the Bank tournament where the winner of the tournament will be able to challenge Slam to a title match at any time. Anytime, any place. What do you guys think about that?
It's a fun concept. I hope
That's
they all
hype.
enjoy themselves. I think it's a great idea that another group is another tournament cycle, and they want to even run cash event for this. It'll be great. I mean, those guys are gonna have an awesome time.
What's the purse?
It's 70% of the take-in is split between top four.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. I don't know. I think I'm spoiled, Sean, because of your events. I like the idea of a locked number, because I would hate not to nag the group, not to nag the tournament at all. But if I traveled all for that and like I came in first place and I ended up with $100, I'm like, I'd like to have a shot of of actually like rolling the tournament, rolling my whole trip for free, on that by winning, by doing well. But it's fine. Those guys are gonna have awesome time, and it's a nice incentive. And I hope the guys who win, go challenge Slam, do the best way ever. Like, challenge him like after he's had the saltiest game of UFS, and we're like, hey, guess what I'm doing right now? Like, oh, it would be amazing.
Yeah, he just got bubbled by his opponent checking rolling fives while he's checking ones. It's just like, hey, Slam, I'm not done with you yet.
I'm not finished with you yet.
Yep.
Now we have to change our pet name for this circuit. It's no longer the We Hate King of Fighters format. It's now the We Hate Tins format.
Yep.
They are rotating the tins out for the Midwest Circuit Series, so you can only play Rise of the Masters Forward.
Yep.
Which is interesting. They're madmen, but it makes sense. There have been 2 sets since they started this whole thing up, and they're ready to move on. I'm interested to see what people will come up with without 8,000 degrees and Robot Masters to put a crutch under every single deck.
So they let's see. They rotated essentially they rotated a small set. That's all they really rotated.
Yeah,
out.
150 cards or so.
Yep. That's it.
So I'm really interested to see what the decks are going to look like. I think the MCS kind of lets us see into the future a little bit.
Can't play Gutsman anymore. But no, Rob Slayer's got the.
He might as well not even show
Savage,
up. He's got no chance.
Hey man, that guy top-aided teams is Swiss champ. Stop playing.
Playing
he was
Gutsman.
and
Playing
that.
Gutsman.
Never-
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
I knew you were going to try going there. I'm like,
Dang.
That's pretty exciting. I'd like to see more circuits show up. I know Kevin and I are brewing up a new Empire circuit with new prizing and a new structure. I think people are going to be really excited about. I know that they are considering a circuit, I think out west somewhere and down south. So I think that's great. Anytime more people are playing UFS, it's really good for the game.
Yeah, it is such a good sign to see. This is like the proliferation of non-PTC events, of people just saying, "Hey, we want to get together and play more cards." That's an incredibly good sign for the game.
Yes. All right, let's wrap this up with some previews. Now, we do have a disclaimer. These cards that we are about to show are not final.
until they are officially previewed by Jasco Games, they are not considered the final product. Please advise. Do not speculate your deck list on any plans of these cards being exactly as reported.
Let me tell you
Sorry.
a card I want to speculate on, and that is Death Charge. This is the 2015 UK Team National Champion card. It's a 2/4 with a +2 low block, Earth, Good, and Water. It's unique. It says E, if your opponent attempts to block this attack, it gets a damage bonus equal to their printed block modifier. And then respond 4+. After your attack receives a speed bonus, it gets +1 damage. This card's
You got
pretty good.
like this is the Gopals, and I forget who was the third on their team. I know he played Leona. That's all I remember about this team. It was like Goro, Raiden, Leona was their team. They won that with.
I want to say it was a Matt, maybe, because I know I copied that Leona deck list. I liked a lot of stuff it was doing. It was really sweet.
Yeah. But I like.
Yeah, it was a Matt. Cool.
I like the humor of it. It's such a cool card. Like
I just realized that the top enhance is I hate it now because I love chump blocking things that I deliberately intend to fail the blocks.
Yeah.
And it attempts to block,
No
so I
block.
get
Don't
plowed.
attempt to block. It is
+3 damage. Oh no.
If you're gonna block, you gotta mean it with this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you fail your block, if you check an unexpected 1, that's gonna pack you in if you were trying to block it with a 3 or a 4 block.
Yeah. Yeah, like you play 4 blocks all the time. It's like, oh, if I check a 3, whatever, I'll get it out of there. But that's not good.
I really need a set of this. If I can get a set of this in my hand before the Rochester PTC, I will so play Raiden and just like shove people in with this guy. I'm like, let's go. Action the foundation of all this crazy assets. Just go.
Yeah, this is a really nice one. I think that it's a great build. It's a great solid piece just for that enhance. Playing it with throws, playing it with speedy things, and the 4+, the response. That's a fun way to It's a fun little build around me. There's not a lot of really good free speed pumps, I think, on these symbols. Not so much where like you have Lord Raptor with it'd be completely nuts with.
Yamato Man.
Yamato.
Well, yeah, but it's not like you're playing. What'd be fun with this is off symboling for Cannon Spike. Oh, I changed I changed the zone. That's 1 speed. Oh, give it 1 more damage too. Oh, I'm gonna try to make it or lethal damage.
I think Water Felicia is gonna like this card quite a bit.
You're hot bridging the races. All right.
Bridging the races plus herself plus
Dragon Goddess. Okay, yeah, we're going places. I like it.
Kaz Simon mentioned Lilith, traveling performer.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I think this card is going to be really good.
This is a fun one, yeah.
So that is Death Charge. Once again, not official yet until Jasco Games spoils it. Let's look at a card that's much less exciting.
Can I just say one thing?
Go ahead, Jesse.
I do apologize. I didn't notice it because maybe I did get a good look at Kevin's card last week. I realized in this from the other, I saw this yesterday with the cards that were shown on eCommit, how many cards are actually in this champ cycle.
There are 16.
Yeah.
It's a big batch.
Well, you notice I noticed in one thing too. It says 16 on Death Charge, but on Kevin it says 15.
Ooh,
must be out of date.
These are not official.
That's true. Somebody must have got their art in on time, maybe.
I wonder how that works.
That's a big champ set, though.
Yeah, 16 is even bigger than 15.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring up a card that's probably less exciting, but you should still be excited about. And that is Bring Your Friends. So this is the 2015 Extended World Champion card. Some scrub won that.
Some idiot.
It's a 2/5 with air, earth, and water. This is an action. So this actually matches 2 symbols with the card we just previewed. And it says form. If you have 5 different card types in your discard pile, add 1 card from your discard pile to your hand. So if you have an attack, a foundation, a character, an action, and an asset in your discard pile, this is a graveyard tutor. Get anything you want.
Yep.
Yum, yum, yum. And then it has another ability. E, your attack gets powerful too, and you can discard action cards from your card pool in addition to momentum to pay this attack's powerful ability. Now, it seems some people may think, oh, that's not very good, but let me tell you what gets my knickers wet about this card. Powerful 2 on a throw, on a reversal, could be pretty good. There's no restriction as to what gets powerful here.
Once again,
Yeah.
another reason I want to play Raiden one last time. Like,
Mama.
make it a throw. Oh, now it has powerful, and you're dead.
Yep. I like this card. I think it's beautiful.
Walk us through this card. You're the champion that designed it.
Yeah, so so that form kind of came to me in a moment of inspiration, kind of stealing a mechanic from another set, or from another game rather. Our recent Magic set had kind of played with having a lot of different card decks in your discard pile, and I said, well, what if I could make a tag along effect that's balanced by having to mill yourself a whole bunch and have to build your deck? Because I wanted to have cards that you can't just throw in any old deck, right? I want to say, you've got to take an effort. You got to come in here with your eyes open. Say, I want to play Bring Your Friends, and write that down near the top of your deck list. Not just like, oh, throw one in, and Drew Buffet goes one in every deck, sure, whatever. You don't have to think very hard. I want to be a staple. I want to be something that you intend to do. So I wanted to have build your own thing here. And I love tutors. I love being able to build my deck with a lot of different options. I love being able to set up weird combos. And actually, one of the things that came to me after I'd already had this and we were trying to work on different abilities. Initially, this was actually a very strong tag-along analog. It was 5 difficulty, 4 control, and it screwed over your opponent's character's abilities. But then they didn't like the balance on that. And so what I came up with was I remembered playing in the extended tournament, the deck that actually second place Tim Keefe had played was a deck built around Joe Hill, filling up your opponent's card pool with his ability, which was after you play a non-attack card, your opponent adds the top card of the deck to the card pool, and then pumping up Tornado Kick 95. And so one of the tricks you would do with that deck was you would play Moon Over the Mountain, and you would choose more copies of Moon Over the Mountain just to drive up the power, just to keep filling up your opponent's card pool, to keep getting those played in action triggers. And so what I realized is I could combine that kind of play pattern of tutoring for more copies of the card with one of my favorite cards in the standard right now, Hydra Fork, that says you can powerful from your card pool. So if you have a fast attack and you have 2 Bring Your Friends in your discard pile, 1 in your hand, and enough card types, you can go Bring Your Friends, get Bring Your Friends, Bring Your Friends, get Bring Your Friends, and then play your attack, play the last Bring Your Friends that you tutored for, and now you have 3 actions in your pool, and so you can kill your opponent like that. And
It's
plus, it's also like it's really fun and exciting to build around it too, because you can just like build your deck with cards like Sacrifice. Oh, now it's got powerful 3. This action sits in my card pool. Now throw it at you. I can play it with Throw It Down. But now, if you're really trying to build around it to have the biggest action cards, well, how many foundations do you have in your deck? How are you actually affording this? So that's a fun trade-off too.
Yep. Kevin Broberg, I feel like there's something missing from the upper right-hand corner of your card. It's kind of
think that?
It's usually shield-shaped and has a number in it.
I think it's perfectly fine. Like, doesn't his foundation not have a block either?
Kevin hates blocks.
So as I was saying, I want you to put my card in your deck with your eyes open. I want you to do it, on purpose. And when you're putting me in your deck to block with, like, that could be any card. That's not me. I'm a faceless nobody with a shield on it. Come on, dude, get out of here. I'm not about that life.
Can we talk about the cameo in the art? Because if people, some of you are probably like wondering who's this ninja boy you're dragging along beside you.
Senpai.
So, if you're wondering who that is, I mentioned that a Joe Hill deck got second place at the extended World Championship,
yep.
And I had actually built that deck as well as the third place deck, which inspired Bring Your Friends. It's going to be a card. I wanted to try to get some cameos from the people who I lent decks to for that event. And the second place player was your current sitting world champion, Tim Keefe. And someone, I was trying to find art ideas. Someone sent me a picture from Fate Zero of the Ryder character just like scooping his nerdy friend under his arm, and I'm like, holy shit, that is actually like anime Tim Keefe. In this picture that someone's showing me, this is incredible. let's do that. And so I'm the Ryder. I can't remember what they were called. the Ryder Spirit, and I'm Tim Keefe's noble phantasm carrying him around, and he's yeah.
You're running into the battle. Everybody's running away from you.
Oh yes, I'm a mighty warrior.
I have decided that the person in the bottom left-hand corner of the card, even though I don't think he was there, that's going to be Giggles. Giggles is running away from Kevin with a horse and a bomb.
He's obviously Giggles would.
That kind of looks like Giggles. He's got the action covering his eye. It's funny.
Yep.
All right, I think that wraps up for tonight. Let's talk about some upcoming events. There's a lot of good stuff happening. The San Antonio PTC, that's done and over with, so we can take that off our list, actually. That's it for this month for PTCs. But next month, there are 2 PTCs on the same weekend. So there's the Calgary PTC at the Calgary Stampede. In Calgary, I think they're in Alberta. It's somewhere up in Montana. And I think it's going to be a great time. I think Garrett Brett will show up and run a sufficient...
what the Stampede is. Like,
it's a rodeo. It's a giant rodeo.
Like, is it actually at the rodeo, or is it, like, at the weekend?
I think it's the same weekend as the rodeo.
Okay, I'm, like, so confused for a moment there.
I hope that Garrett Brett shows up and runs a sufficient number of spiders and dragons, just to show everybody what's what. That very same weekend...
Got to prove a point at this point.
...is the premier East Coast PTC, and that is the Rochester PTC, July 15th to 16th at Millennium Games and Hobbies.
And here's how you know it's the premier event, because last year I got second place in the Rochester PTC. Giggles, the hardest player in UFS to beat, ask Dave Wagner, he got knocked out of Worlds one year by Giggles. He beat me. And then I went down to Atlanta, which is a bigger event, but I beat all of them. So we know Rochester's the hardest one. It's the number one event.
I mean, that's how I know
Check
that the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the National Football League. We shut out New England, and they're the world champions.
Yep.
We're the best team. So at Millennium Games and Hobbies is the Rochester PTC. And one thing I can assure you, since I'm going to be there will be a stream. There will be commentary. There will be prizes beyond your wildest dreams. And all you got to do is show up. We are going to make it rain in Rochester. And it always rains on the weekends here, so it's perfect.
Yep.
So, premier event, July 15th to 16th. Show up. If you don't like the tin cards and you don't like King of Fighters, the following week you can head on over to the Money in the Bank Midwest Circuit Stop, July 22nd. At Top Cut Comics in Rockford, Illinois. Look at that. I got it all right this time.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun times. A lot of great events coming up. If you are in the neighborhood of any of these things, make sure you go. Learn about UFS. Have a great time. Make sure you seed your top pairings correctly. Don't get disqualified. And on that, we will see everybody next week for our show again. Good night.
Hey,
Good night, everybody.